Today's speaker is the amazing Roxy Rodriguez-Becker. She's a freelance web developer with a background in math education and library science. She created the TubeFeed Tracker progressive web app for a niche part of the medical community to help thousands of families around the world. Roxy is the Cuban-American mother of three living in Houston, Texas. She enjoys working out, working on her handstands, listening to tech podcasts, and is looking for her next role. Roxy, it's an honor to have you with us today. The stage is all yours.
Thank y'all so much. So I'm Roxy. I'm a former math teacher, current librarian, creator of the web app that was just mentioned. And let me know if my audio is okay. I have the chat open. Yes. So last year I was on Code TV's Web Dev Challenge. I emceed at Render. I spoke at Magnolia Conf, and I've continued to put myself out there with speaking engagements. So I super appreciative of Mariya and Violina for asking me onto the front end quiz. So when somebody asked, thank you, Dave, um, and Jasmine. So when someone asked how I could possibly, or when I asked how I could possibly speak for 45 minutes, they said, you are a teacher, so, just lesson plan. I'm like, okay. So that's what we're doing. This presentation is broken up into 6 steps, mixed in with some life advice, because that's how I used to teach math. It wasn't all about Pythagorean theorem and coordinate plane. It's about problem solving your way through life. I'll get into how I utilized AI as well. And I also mixed in some videos because I was a middle school math teacher and you have to keep their attention somehow. So here we go. Okay. This is Sebastian. Cute, right? Okay, let me know if you hear the audio on the next slide because I totally forgot that I have audio. Did y'all hear the cha-ching? No. Oh, dang it. I don't know how to fix that. Okay, cha-ching. It's just that some of the videos have music is the only issue. I wonder if I put the mic up to my, yeah, I'll just sing the music for y'all. Here, I'm gonna just tear this apart. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. So this is Sebastian, and I'm kidding. When I say he's expensive. But fair warning, some of the upcoming images show Sebastian in the hospital, primarily on a breathing treatment, nothing super serious. You'll see my husband, Daniel, Sebastian's brother, Alaric, and sister, Leela, as well. If you want to look away at any point, I totally understand. Check on your pals on social media, switch tabs, post about the amazing talk you're about to hear. Just kidding. I don't need that kind of pressure. But I'm going to deep dive into everything that led to the first step in Ship It First, Fix It Later, which, spoiler, is identifying the problem. So sit back, relax while I teach you some medical terms and see if I can get y'all to hear the audio. Now I feel like an MC. Also, please don't confuse my humor as callousness. It's one of my coping mechanisms, along with boba and making videos. Okay, I'm sorry for the audio mishap. Is that working? And I saw the comment. I'll be honest, I'm a little bit too nervous to try that right now. But I mean, did y'all hear the music okay? Dang it. Okay, no. Okay, then I'm going to skip the next one. All right. So around the same time when Sebastian's condition became much more serious, I was but a wee babe learning off and on with Free Code Camp, not having discovered the power of the tech community yet. I eventually noticed a problem and created a solution, but was hesitant to put it out there. The imposter syndrome kicks in pretty early. I reflected for anyone in the same boat and created 6 steps to maybe possibly help you ship that MVP, help folks, and fix it along the way. So obviously, based on that previous video, step 1, have a traumatic life event. Totally kidding. That is not step 1. Step 1, identify a problem. So maybe you notice a problem in your own life or, your son's life. Maybe you have to sit and brainstorm a bit with other communities, read through articles, use AI. Unfortunately for us, and fortunately for you, there are way too many problems in the world. So pick one and get to work. So I'm going to dig a little deeper into the problem that I eventually identified. So please continue to bear with me. Sebastian is my youngest son by 1 minute. He is a fraternal twin. He's doing all right these days, but he was born with a very rare birth condition called VACTERL association. VACTERL is an acronym for 7 different conditions, and if you have at least 3 of the 7, you will fall under that label. He has 3. On top of the obstacles that come with this particular set of VACTERL-related challenges are the conditions that like to stack onto pre-existing conditions. So we're basically just piling up the medical bills. I mean, medical needs. Sebastian, like I said, he has 3 of the 7 VACTERL conditions. The primary one being one called esophageal atresia. That is when you are born with your trachea and your esophagus fused together. It requires immediate surgery at birth. And along with esophageal atresia comes some BOGO challenges, but it's more like buy one, get many. He's got tracheomalacia, that's a floppy trachea. He has a laryngeal cleft, which is similar to a cleft palate, but it affects you differently. It's in your larynx instead. He has asthma, and the laryngeal cleft causes him to have dysphagia, so he has to drink thickened liquids. We're working on the thins. He had surgery recently, but as of right now, he has to drink thickened liquids. All of this led to another diagnosis called failure to thrive, which is how he ended up with a feeding tube or a G tube. Okay. How do I do that reshare of my screen thing?
I think you can stop and reshare if you want to do that. But I think they mentioned something like you have to restart screen also.
Oh, wait. Instead, I can go to more.
Roxy, thank you for sharing such a personal stuff.
For sure. And I'm so sorry that I forgot to check the audio.
Oh, always good. We can give you some time.
Share audio. Share computer sound. Awesome. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see if this works. Oh, and that was failure to thrive. Oh, we have sound and it froze. Or maybe it's over. Okay. So, I don't know if it froze on the same spot for you, but it says, breathe, darling. This is just a chapter. He's wearing a CPT vest. So the primary challenges that Sebastian faces concern his respiratory system. A side effect is that he burns too many calories just existing, just breathing. And so for a long time, he required extra nourishment at night. And that's why he has the G tube. So in order to help him grow, he needed extra nutrients at night because I think a lot of y'all know that I am vertically challenged. I'm 4'11" and 3/4. So he needs some extra help in that department for sure. Are we good? I can't tell if it's freezing for y'all. Okay. So just to give you an idea, this is the equipment specific to Sebastian's G tube. There's a bag attached to a, or you attach a bag to a pump. You put the formula into the bag, and then once you type in the data, usually it's the feed rate into the pump, it makes the formula run from the bag through the pump into the G tube into the this is technically called a Mickey or a G button, but Sebastian always called it his tube. He's like, "Ow, my tube." So imagine the G tube is like an earring. You slide it into the hole, like in the, so he has a surgically created hole in his stomach that goes from the outside, and you slide the G tube or the button in like an earring. It's deflated. This part deflates right here. So you slide it in and then you inflate it with water, and then that serves as a stopper. Not everybody in the 2B community has the respiratory problems that Sebastian has, but this is just to give you an idea of how the whole process works. Okay, and then I'll just show a little clip. This He has a lot of machinery, and this video is a couple years old, but he's got oxygen. When he's sick, he has his pulse ox, so we can see his saturation to see if needs to continue with the oxygen. He has his pump. Um, that's the pulse ox again. He has his CPT vest he does daily. He has his nebulizer he does daily. It's a lot. And so obviously when he's hospitalized, it's also a lot for the nurses to keep track of. Um, we're very lucky that we have this equipment at home. At first we didn't, and he was hospitalized a lot more frequently. But once we had somebody advocating for us and showing us and telling us all the things that we could get with our insurance or without insurance, or like the insurance won't cover, we are able to keep him out of the hospital so much more frequently. Um, so yeah, earlier I had a life lesson, but that was with the video that I skipped because there wasn't audio, is lean into your coping mechanisms. And so a lot of times when Sebastian was in the hospital, these are the kinds of videos that I would make because it was just kind of something that would help me like reflect and calm down and share with the community. And when I say the community, I mean I would share it on Instagram, and a lot of people in similar situations would find me, and we would connect that way. So from this video, life lesson number 2 that I stole from Aaron Francis is become known for something. I became very well versed in the respiratory system, so much so that people thought that I worked in the medical field when I walked into the ER, spouting off the exact phrases that were needed to get Sebastian seen the fastest. Um, you know, these hospital stays led me to make the tube feed tracker and talk about it nonstop. If it's what I'm known for, problem solving and helping the community, so be it. That's kind of awesome. That and trolling. So while complications from Sebastian's esophageal atresia are what landed him in the hospital, his G tube is what led me to build my first progressive web app that solved this problem in the medical community and is used around the world daily. Um, I don't think I mentioned that I have a background in content creation, hence all the videos. But I'm also, get ready, I'm going to be very dramatic. I am also a medical mom. So this is why I'm so dramatic. It was my birthday, and this was like 2 years ago or something, and it was my birthday, and we were in the hospital, and I was like, man, this sucks. But things are great lately. I'm a lot more than this. I've been able to find myself, and Sebastian's doing so much better. And then I know So because of, how hectic and crazy everything is in the medical mom life, I think you mentioned I go to the gym, right? I go to the gym at 5 in the morning. I study at 4 in the morning because honestly, like you have to find the time. And so this is how I'm squeezing my tech transition in wherever I can. As I mentioned before, I have two other babies. Leela is in the middle, she's 9. Alaric is in blue, he's Sebastian's fraternal twin. And oh, yes, this 4'11 3/4 frame carried twins to their C-section date.
Are you ready? Here we go. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. These are the 12 months of the year.
So 2020 and 2021, we lived under a rock for obvious reasons. Even though we did like nothing. If we did anything, it was like very early when nobody was anywhere. But he was still in the hospital 2 to 3 times in 2020 and 2021. 2022, this video is from 2022. It was a very bad year. Leela started kindergarten, and the jokes are accurate, y'all. Kids are gross, and they carry all the germs. They bring everything home. Sharing is caring for real. But so that was 2022. I think that was the year of 9 hospital stays. 2023 wasn't great, but it was better. I think he had 6 hospital stays that year. So, they were dropping in frequency. 2024, big jump. There were only 2 hospital stays in 2024. And then 2025, drum roll please, the first year that we had 0 hospital stays for illness or anything. So that is a very big win. 0 hospital stays in 2025. And he started kindergarten in 2025. So, that was awesome. Definitely one for the win wheel, right, Jasmine? Sorry, my friend Jasmine has this awesome app that I'd share because that was definitely a win, right? And as our pal Nas would say, please clap. So remember when I told you Sebastian he only gets his tube feeds at night. During one of his many hospital stays, both of us, my husband and I, noticed that the night shift nurses were struggling to figure out Sebastian's feed rate. Sebastian can put it away. He doesn't look like it, but he eats a ton. And he eats by mouth. So that kind of throws people off because he can only get his tube feeds at night between dinner and breakfast. And they want him to be able to eat breakfast. So it's always like, oh my gosh, how much can we give him and for how long? And so we needed to leave room, right? And the dietitians had strict numbers they wanted the nurses to follow. And then there were the parents giving the nurse information about how, no, if you follow what the dietitian says, he is going to throw up because he is sick and he can't consume all of that right now. And then, of course, there's other medical staff, and it's just a lot of information to process when you have like at least 4 other patients that you're dealing with, right? As a side note, thank you, nurses. Every hospital stay, we would bring thank you cards and snacks and stuff because it is a tough job, and we just appreciate our nurses so much. This is life lesson number 3. Someone old and sometimes wise has said to me many times, it is nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. So show your gratitude however you can. Starbucks gift cards, make a bracelet, send a card. And then I don't know, but shout out to respiratory therapists because that is a tough job. And I feel like I was an unofficial respiratory therapist sometimes. If you ever see them in hospitals, they have it rough as well. So anyway, another tangent, right? By now we have identified our problem. Some people have trouble calculating tube feed rates or tube feed related data. Pop quiz. Just kidding. These are the 3 main formulas that I used for the app. The tube feed rate is milliliters divided by the hours. The hours are the milliliters divided by the rate, which is milliliters per hour. The liquid volume is the rate, milliliters per hour times the hours. I'm a former math teacher. My husband is currently a math teacher. Obviously, our kids will experience no pressure at all in that department. So this stuff is kind of top of mind for us. We thought it was simple enough, but you know, obviously it's not, like, especially under pressure. I don't even like doing math under pressure. So lesson number 4, please stop telling yourself that you suck at math, and don't let your kids or your future kids tell themselves that they suck at math. It is infectious, and it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I've seen it so much as a former math teacher. So anyway, little side note, math is cool. So step number 2 is create a solution, build your MVP. So when I first built the tube feed tracker, it was actually the tube feed rate calculator, and I knew just enough JavaScript, and I had a problem, and I couldn't wait to finish my React course because this was all happening in real time. And this is it. This is basically the entire app minus some styling. It was 71 lines of JavaScript, and it worked. I'm going to show you what's actually happening here because this code is going to show you how most of us learn to build things. So this is just a little, just to show you, this isn't actually part of the app, but it looks similar. I had 3 input fields. It was very simple: milliliters, hours, and milliliters per hour, or the feed rate. So for example, if the dietitian recommends 55 milliliters per hour and you moan and groan about how that's going to make your kiddo barf, but you do it anyway. And figure there's only about 6 hours left in the feeding window that night in order for Sebastian to have time to digest before breakfast. They put it into their respective fields, and the answer comes out, and that is what you're going, and so that's the information you're going to put into the pump. When they click the calculate button, the feed rate function is invoked. The function checks which fields are filled, and in this case, the rate and the duration contain values. If both inputs are populated, it performs the calculation rate times duration, and then that gives them it gives them 1.5 formula containers, or 330 milliliters. I turned the logic into a function. You fill in 2, and it calculates the third. Simple math, but let's look at how I built it. Hint, like a noob. So this is the reset function. I'm reaching into the DOM 3 separate times to grab each element by its ID, then manually clearing each one. The DOM isn't just where I display the data, it is my data. The input fields are my state. If I want to know what the user typed, I go ask the HTML element. If I want to clear everything, I go tell each HTML element. So using the DOM as your state is beginner behavior, but it worked for 71 lines of code of JavaScript. Noob. So let's look at the event listeners. They are scattered across the file. I have to hunt for them. Which button does what? You have to read the whole file and match the ideas. A lot is happening here for what little is actually going on. The only thing I had going for me was the math, the calculation logic. It's clean and it's correct. And the logic is exactly the same when it was updated to the React version. The math didn't need to change, just everything around the math needed to change. How the data flows, how the UI responds, and how the app scales when you want to add features. Yay, math. So after holding on to this idea for quite a while, a local JavaScript meetup group, I started discovering community, encouraged me to ship it. They were the first folks to see my creation and give me some notes. This was the scariest part, putting my creation out there. It meant so much to me. I created it as a traumatized mother in the middle of the night, in a hospital room. So it was nerve-wracking to put it out there and let people tell me what they thought. Life lesson number 5, it's not a new one, do it scared. So this was the first version. That is a photo of Sebastian's room. You can kind of see he's got like a toy plane on the bed, and you can see his pump in the background. The nurse or parent needed any 2 pieces of information to figure out the third. This project was my baby. It became my 100 hours project for 100 devs. Shout out all of our 100 devs in the audience and my coach and mentor, Leon Noel. And I was too close to see that I created, something for me. The photo in the background and the color scheme. It felt like a dark room for me. But when people wanted it to solve more problems, 71 lines of JavaScript just wasn't enough anymore. So, of course, the first couple of iterations I put out, I was told that my idea was very boot campy, but it was still out there, and the Tubi community that I shared it with didn't even notice. So, that's where the ship it first, fix it later aspect comes in, because the community that needed it had such nice things to say. I shared my progressive web app with a couple tube feed groups on Facebook, and these are just some of the messages they sent. Problem solving has always been part of my personality, but this was a problem on a larger scale, and the fact that it helped so many people really motivated me to keep going. Yeah, this is how I felt. So of course, you get feedback, and you iterate on it. I tried to make the web app less personal. I removed Sebastian from the background. I used colors and images that are actually related to tube feed equipment. A lot of our bags and things are purple. And this step just keeps repeating. I was still too close to it. That was a picture I took, of our equipment. But I did add information buttons. I added dark mode. So, haha. Winning in the midst of fighting my brain between going between enterprise, which was suggested, or staying true to myself, I got a really awesome message. A few months ago, when I started the job hunt, which I'm still on, wink, wink, I hit the trough of sorrow a couple times already, and I received this message. Hey, I'm sorry if this catches you off guard. I don't mean anything by it, but extreme excitement. Are you responsible for creating this gem? Never mind. Well, let me attach a photo, but it's the feeding rate calculator. I found it on Google, and I just want to say that it is not only genius. Sorry, what? It is not only genius, but it has been needed for so long. I'm on my second G2 babe, and having to not manually calculate the rate is such a time-saving blessing. It's definitely saved to my home screen. Progressive web app for the win. And I will definitely be sharing it with everyone I know. So that was so motivational, and it came at just the right time. And so I just, kept making improvements to it. The fact that she saved it to the home screen too, I was like, yeah. And I love checking the analytics on the 2P tracker. One of my points of pride are the organic searches. In this particular month, of the 1,436 visits, 1,286 of them were from organic searches. So, people are looking for things, a tracker, a tube feed rate calculator, and my website was popping up. So yes, folks said nice things, but we definitely needed more functionality. I took my 71 lines of JavaScript and I fed it into V0 and said, React, please. And at first it was very unimpressed and said, well, it seems pretty basic, noob. And I said, no, 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 the framework React. And then it got to work. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. So in React, I'm only going to go through a few of them because there's like so many changes. I'm just going to go through a few. In React, the state lives in JavaScript. The input fields just reflect what the state says. Change the state, the UI updates automatically. Declarative rendering, right? So it matters because when I wanted to add a calorie calculator that needed to know the current milliliter value in JavaScript, I'd have to go get element by ID again. In React, I just use the variable. It's already there. State flows like formula. I mean water. With JavaScript, I had to wire things up separately. HTML over here, JavaScript over there, connect with get element by ID. It was like running a ton of cables all over the floor. And I'm a big klutz. My husband calls me a tiny bull in a china shop. And right before I logged in today, I spilled my water on the floor and I had to clean it up. That is me. So in React, the handler lives right next to the button. You read the JSX and you know exactly what each button does. You don't have to treasure hunt through your files, no cables everywhere. And when your app has 4 tabs and 15 buttons, this really, really matters. Um, I had three functions that did the same thing to three different elements. Each one reached into the DOM and grabbed the element and manually set its color to a hex code. In the React version with Tailwind, the styling was conditional. There's a piece of state called output field, and that tracks which field was calculated. The Tailwind CSS classes change automatically based on that state. So one pattern for all three fields. No duplication or hex codes hiding in the code. Okay, so here in the before, the JavaScript code, in order to reset the data, I have to find each element, clear its value, and clear its style. So that's 6 get element by IDs, 6 manual resets. I'm giving the DOM step-by-step instructions like a recipe. And what? There's no better recipe than folding in the cheese. RIP. In the React reset, I just set each state variable back to its initial value. I don't touch the DOM at all. I don't clear any styles because React sees the state changes and re-renders everything automatically. The UI handles itself. The React version resets more things too. So it can reset output field, calculation timing, total calories, daily calories, formula selection. The app grew and the reset grew with it. If it was JavaScript, that would be additional get element by ID calls. But in React, it's just another set state line. All right, my favorite part. Here we go. The math. It's the same. It is the same if-else chain, which is great for readability on 3 branches of basic arithmetic. It's like showing your work, which, by the way, always gets you extra points in math. The framework changes, the language got types, the styling system is different, but the core logic, which was the entire point of this app, stayed the same. That's my domain logic. That's the part that I understand because I lived this particular problem. The React version does more around the calculation. It tracks which field is the output. It logs the analytics. It counts the calories, but its core is the 3 if-else branches of basic math because yay math. But the people wanted more. They wanted formula searches, feed logs, the BMI calculator, calorie calculations, and all of these new features would take more get element by IDs, more event listeners to track, more DOM manipulation, more global state to keep in sync. But I needed components, state management, a way to break the app into pieces that could talk to each other. So it became 4 tabs, the calculator, the feed rate based on BMI formulas, the formula search, and a log. Each its own component. They share state through props. The formula you select in the formula tab shows up in the calculator tab. The calculations show up in the log tab. So yay, conversing with each other. And then let's get to the AI part because it's a big part of this app story. So when I popped my original files into V0, it produced a working web app, components, type, styling, the whole shebang. It did a lot of things. The component structure was great, TypeScript interfaces, and Tailwind styling. I'd say it got me 70% of the way with my original code, which is awesome, right? I believe in using AI as a multiplier, not as a replacement, not a crutch. And if you do use it, look at the results and reverse engineer your app, reverse engineer your code so that you can understand what's going on and gain a deeper understanding. In preparing for this talk, since I'll be honest, I haven't dug into this code in a while. I utilized Claude Code and it was amazing. Like it showing me my different branches and everything. It was great. The remaining 30% were fixes, like the formula search. I built a local database of 70 verified Interro formulas. So when you initially do a search, it'll look through the database of verified formulas. And there's, like I said, there's about 70 in there, but which makes it faster. But I also use an OpenAI call to search for broader formulas that aren't listed. So for example, I noticed that Enfamil, which is a baby formula, isn't listed. But if you're a baby with a G tube, you probably are receiving that, something like that. So I purposely kept it out so I could show y'all. But if it's a formula that people can't find in my database and the internet is searched, it pops up with this result. And the parent or the nurse can use it. I just make sure that they know that this is not verified information. So, maybe Google it on the side or something. We don't mess around with medical information. Auth was a whole other saga. At first, I went with Clerk for reasons, but I had some issues with the versions of React, syncing with the versions of Clerk, and since Tube Feed Tracker actually redirects to Vercel for more reasons, I switched to Supabase because they actually they have a more streamlined integration with Supabase, and it worked out because I ended up using Supabase for the formula database. So, two birds. Oh, and the logs too. The logs stay there. This is a quick video of the tube feed tracker in action using the same example from earlier, 55 milliliters an hour for 6 hours. And then this is the formula that Sebastian used to use. So I looked it up so we could get the calories. A lot of the times, if you're in the hospital, they will not release you until your child is consuming a specific amount of calories. And so that's kind of where this comes into play. And there you go. So once you have iterated, again, for the millionth time, you share it again. My baby is a constant work in progress, but it's live and it went live in its early stages and people have been using it since. They used it when it was a calculator. They're using it now when it's a progressive web app that does, a few other things. Last year, I tracked about 4,000 users and 38,000 event counts. Like I said, I'm still working on it because as of a few months ago, a new kid came into town and stole some of my traffic. Super rude, right? So I have to keep improving and especially maybe SEO. I created a demo last summer. I've since updated it, but that's only 3 tabs. It has 4 now. But I got such wonderful feedback that I decided to keep making videos. Some of y'all may have caught some bloopers. But throughout this tube feed tracker journey, I've noticed that while I love problem solving, I also love interacting with people, which is weird because my husband says I hate people. I've enjoyed chatting with more of the Tubi community, teaching others about it, surprise, surprise, and then just the ongoing learning, that you get from building things. Anybody that likes a list, these were the steps that I talked about. And then the point of everything, all of my tangents, share your idea before you're ready, and then fix it and share it again and again through different mediums, reach different people, get more feedback, and then keep iterating, learning, and exploring new tools in the process. So life lesson number 6, find a community, find several communities. You need a support system. Shout out to, I think I've got like LGT in here, Torque, 100 Devs, DSD. Yeah, I love my tech communities, love my people. So speaking of communities, not to go off on yet another tangent, these were the life lessons. I'm grateful for all my friends in the communities. I mentioned all the tech communities. I have the Tubi community too, the Instagram community that I've grown so much, meeting, other people, other families in this situation. And then again, the tech communities. Thank you so much to Violina and Mariya for inviting me. Thank you to the front end queens. And thank you so much to everybody that came to my talk. I appreciate you. And now I'm going to make you cringe for just 1 second. Okay, I'll make that go away.
Roxy,
There
that
you
was
go.
amazing. That was amazing. We
I think my
have no
ADHD showed.
words. How you juggle between being a mom, in learning and building something so helpful and mindful. This is just amazing. People love you.
I love my people.
It is
And
just very impressive to see what you've been going through and how you still have time for yourself and to study and React and going through a boot camp.
yeah, so uh well, it seems like a boot camp, but it's all self-taught. We have the 100 Devs community. Yeah, it's but I'm super grateful for my family too because they help me a lot whenever I have, you know, if I'm going to a conference, if I have an engagement like this, if I want to go to a meetup like Code and Coffee on Sunday, I yeah, I really rely on my family to help and they're really supportive with this journey and transition.
Yeah, I'm sure that without the support of your husband and the whole family around, it's impossible, but you're the one who carrying everything on your shoulders. I'm going to actually
Long way.
ask Linda, do you have any questions? Do you want to share anything with us about Roxy? Probably she doesn't hear me.
I
Can
Oh,
do.
you?
are you
I'm
sorry?
here. You're good. Um,
Hi, Linda.
I Hi. Um, I don't have any questions, but what I was actually typing, which I can share, is that I always appreciate hearing this because that the drive to like do the things you need to do to be able to take care of yourself and take care of your family and try and switch job while you're still working a full job, like that stuff is hard and it needs support to be able to do it, but the drive to do it also comes from within. So it's such a great balance of like having your own personal fortitude to keep going and doing the things as much as you can while also having the support to like fall back on is really great. And I'm so glad you have that. And I
Thank
appreciate
you.
this.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think my first year or so was very off and on because I didn't have a tech community. And, I could talk to my family about what I learned that day, but they don't understand.
Mhm.
Like you have
Right.
to have people, yeah.
Yeah, they cannot relate at all because it's completely different material. I do
Yeah.
want to give a word to Jason. He's a special guest joining us today. Jason, what was your thoughts on Roxy talk today? What do you want to share with the community? If you can talk, I don't know, do we find you in a good time?
Am I about to get
Probably.
trolled?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Torque, Jason?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he's probably busy right now.
Yeah, he has his child at home and he's super sick.
Hmm.
But yeah, no,
Oh,
the Torque community has been super great. Oop,
people in the
yeah,
chat
they've
are
been
saying that you
awesome.
Yeah, people in the chat are saying that you're inspiring, you're motivating everybody. So there is no excuses. Listen, story for real, it's not excuses for grow.
We joke about 4 a.m. club. Like, oh, you need to study? Join me at 4 a.m.
Please, if you have any questions to Roxy, drop them in the chat, or you want to be on mute and chat with us, raise your hand. We have a couple more minutes. Connect with her on social media.
Yeah, anywhere. Thank y'all again. I mean, if nobody has anything or they want to message me questions or anything, that works too. But I know I appreciate all the nice things. I wanna,
Thank you, Roxy. I see that there is no questions, and I feel like everybody is just amazed by your talk and what you share with us. It was really helpful and motivating, and
what we learned is no excuse. Keep moving and
Yeah.
trying.
That's the
And
new talk title. No excuses.
yes,
Thank you all so much.
thank you everyone for joining us today, and see you soon on next event. Roxy, we are honored to have you.
Thank you all so much.